Welcome to Happily Ever After, the podcast where we talk about life's big stories, from breakups and breakdowns to icky secrets and happy endings. It's the stuff that makes us human. I'm your host, Hannah Harvey. I'm a writer and a parenting blogger at mumsdays.com. I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe and leave a review because it basically means more people can find the podcast. And I also absolutely love hearing from you, so please do contact me through Instagram at mumsdays, MUMSDAYS, with any of your stories and any thoughts you might have on the episode or any questions. You can find all the details from this episode in the show notes. Hello and welcome to Happily Ever After. It's me, Hannah, and today I'm joined by Sophie because she had a tarot reading that went in my favour. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
What happened?
Yeah, so I occasionally get tarot readings from a girl I know. She's called Naomi. And sometimes you might give like a prompt of what you want to hear about, what you don't want to hear about. But this one occasion, I didn't give her any prompts, and she said, oh, look, before I even start anything, the first thing I need to say is podcast. And it didn't mean anything to me because I've never, been one-on-one, this, that and the other. And so I says, what do you mean? Like the podcast, because I don't relate to that at all. And she said, I feel like you've always needed to be on one, or you're a good person to be on one. And it didn't relate to us for a while. And this was a few weeks later, and I was listening to your podcast about when you were talking about like divorce and finding your identity again. And I haven't been divorced, but I'm recently in a relationship after being single for quite a while. And I was sort of finding my identity in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I can relate to what you're saying, but I'm actually going through the opposite, if that makes sense. And because I was having a good mental health day, I thought, I'm going to message Hannah and see if she wants us on.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for the reading.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect. And actually, now that you're here and going through that, I have recently done the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I've taken a break from relationships, and then now I'm in one, and it's like, oh, how do you navigate this to make sure you don't repeat old patterns?
Yeah.
So what I loved about your story is that you represent a very different attachment style to me, and I feel like you as well, Katie. Katie's here too, by the way.
Well, everybody.
The chum. I was like, Katie, get your ass down for this, because all three of us have like navigated singleness, having our heart broken, working out who we are, and I think it would just be a really interesting chat. So yeah, my attachment style is I'm quite anxious, and so being on my own feels very unnatural. But the sad thing about that is then you'll go and repeat old patterns because you're like, anyone will do. When actually you need to, especially if you're a people pleaser, you end up doing whatever it takes to make sure people like you. So I've been working on that, but it did make dating really tricky, and I learned a lot of lessons. But you, on the other hand, had quite a different experience. So tell me what happened for you when you ended your last, before your current relationship.
Yeah, so I've had a period of 4 years. I think 4 years. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody out. 4 years we'll go for, where I was very much on my own, and anyone I kind of met, they weren't up to like, not my standard, but they weren't what I wanted in a partner. So they were all out on the drink, and I'm not really into that anymore, and they just didn't align with what I wanted. So I was quite happily on my own until I met the one. And I know that sounds a bit cringe, but like
I love it.
Like the person. So I was very much doing what I wanted, not thinking about anybody else. Like my time was my time. I was out with the girls a lot, and it kind of, in the summer I was having a great time, I'm not gonna lie, and it gets to like the autumn, winter, and everyone's like snuggling down with their partners, and you get a bit like, there's no distractions anymore. So for me, I have always been open to finding somebody, but I haven't.
So you weren't actively single, you were still looking?
Kind of, but I wasn't putting pressure on it.
Yeah.
So like, I was on dating apps, which weren't great for me.
No,
So
me
they would
neither.
sort of regurgitate the same toxic person just again and again and again.
In a different form.
In a different form, exactly.
Yeah.
And I would go back thinking, oh, it'll be fine this time, you know? And so as part of one of my tarot readings, actually, Naomi said, because I said, look, do I need to just give up? Or is there hope for us? Like, or do I just put energy into other parts of my life, pretty much? Because I was kind of at a bit of like a give up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
That's when things happen.
yeah, I was just a bit like, I'm fed up with these men. Like, that, none of them are good enough, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she said, I need to carry on, but I need to change my dating habits. So the first thing she said was, you need to get off dating apps. I hadn't told her I was on dating apps, by the way. She had just said, you need to get off dating apps. You need to concentrate on meeting someone more authentically, like in person, which I've always wanted, but I personally never used to, apart unless it was a nightclub, which isn't always the best sort of person to meet, you don't really meet anyone. So I did what you said. I thought, right, we'll see how that goes. And I thought I would maybe meet someone through like dip club, going to the beach, the coast, this, that and the other. But it actually just happened to be someone that I knew from school, who I'm now with. Yeah. But like, I don't know if you are into this sort of thing, but because I knew what I wanted, I've always believed that what you want out of the universe, you've got to show them you're ready for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I started meditating with crystals, and I made like a non-negotiable list of what I want in a partner, and I'm not going to budge on it.
Love it.
Which I wish I still had a copy of.
How do you know?
I don't know. I got a new phone, and I think it was in the old notes.
That's
I
why
would
you
love
need
to
paper.
find it.
Yeah, because I've got my
Have
version
you?
of that. So what I called it was
wonder what's on
relationship
it.
ethics.
Right.
So you write down, it's something like what you believe about relationships,
Yeah.
what you believe about your partner in a relationship, how you will feel in a relationship, and how you'll know when you've met the person. I think there's one other one, I can't remember what it was, but I've made you do it before, haven't I, Katie?
Yeah, we did it on the beach once.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't ready for it, actually. We need to revisit that.
Well, I think what was nice about that time was it helped you see that you weren't ready and you needed a break.
Yeah, that's true. It did. Although I didn't take a break. Just went straight on the dating apps anyway and had a go, and it was horrible. So
Okay,
Well, there you go.
lesson learned. Yeah.
What do we think about dating apps then, Katie?
Oh, I just think, like, maybe this isn't the way that we're meant to meet people. I think it's, like, fantastic that the technology's there, that we don't have to, like, go out to bars and, like, hope to meet Prince Charming, you know, but also at the same time, there's a lot of people I know that have had, like, a lot of bad luck with it. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of people I know that have had a lot of good luck with it.
That's it. Like, my best friend, she met her partner through dating apps. Well, he had sort of seen her on it in, like, he found her on Facebook, which sounds like 20 years ago, but it wasn't. And, like, so I was always
so
holding
young.
on to that. Like, someone's going to find me from Tinder, for example. And, like, it just, for me, it doesn't happen. And I feel like that the bad outweighs the good. For me, anyway. Like, they're great for some people, but for me, it was just toxic.
It can be an extremely toxic place, I think, and make you feel much worse than, like, the benefits don't outweigh the negatives of it sometimes, you know.
Definitely not. Not for me, anyway.
Yeah. And there are lots of alternative ways to meet people out there now. I kind of feel like we're turning a corner now. Like, there's... it was dating apps and just dating apps for a long time, and now people are seeking alternatives, so that's good, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, like real life in person, because, the other thing about dating apps is you're looking at every human from, like, Carlisle to Edinburgh you might connect with somebody great, but they're in completely the wrong place.
And for me, it's always concentrating on a photo, which doesn't say a lot about a person.
Yes.
The worst way to do it.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
Because
Like, there's more to us than a photograph, isn't there?
so much more, and you would easily dismiss some people because of the wrong angle or something that
Don't like his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the fact there's a beer glass behind you over there. Or, do you know what I mean? Like little things that...
Yeah.
It's just not the right way to do it. Because actually, when you see people moving and in real life, that's when the magic comes to life. Like you can actually see the beauty shining through. You watch them laugh.
Yeah.
You watch them like chat to a stranger. Those are the moments when you're like, oh, I've just fallen in love with them.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I think it was Hinge. I quite didn't mind Hinge. It was more like calm.
I found people were unhinged.
Unhinged. Well, what it was a bit of an ick for me, right? You could upload voice notes.
Oh, I quite like that.
I don't. That would put me off straight away. I don't know what it was, but like, the ones I heard mostly were like them singing or like talking to themselves, and I just thought, that's not for me, that.
But it helped me work out who I liked their crack of, if that
Really?
makes sense. So if you hear somebody and you're like,
okay.
oh my God, cringe, then you would...
That's true.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's not taking it too seriously and has a little... But, I don't know. I just found the moment I said I'm not doing the dating apps anymore, I felt better in myself.
Yeah, I did.
It is, if you've got any form of like addictive personality, ADHD, anything like that, I feel like dating apps is just the wrong place for you because it's too overwhelming. And if you're a person who focuses, you're going to get sucked into that world.
Yeah, definitely.
And lose your mind.
Like, I used to get excited over matches. Like, oh, this person likes me.
Yeah.
And it would get quite addictive, wouldn't it?
The swiping, and then you're like, that's all you're doing.
But then when they actually used to messages, I'm like, oh, I haven't got time for that.
This guy's messaged me back and
I don't want to talk to you. I just want the match.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Which again is something you would never do in real life. You know, like if you met somebody organically in real life, you wouldn't then rule them out because you couldn't really be bothered to talk to them.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, which is what happens on the
Yeah.
apps.
Yeah.
It's almost too much choice.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it's got that feeling of like you're just window shopping. You know when you go on Sweaty Betty in the sale and you fill your basket with no intention of ever buying anything because you just wanted that feeling of, but I could.
But it's there if I want it.
Yeah. Like you're just window shopping and getting that moment of like, ooh, I'd look really nice in that red jumper. But then you don't buy it.
Yes. That is
So
what
it's
like.
just distraction and numbing.
Yeah.
As opposed to real life connection. So both you and me have now met people in IRL.
I know.
That's like two-thirds of this room have done it the old school way.
Yeah. It was through Instagram, but we did know of each other anyway.
Yeah, it's a...
So it's kind of like through social media, sort of. But
yeah, but it's not the same
we
as
knew of
being
each
on an
other.
app specifically.
Yeah, for that
to
reason.
hook up, because the other thing about dating somebody through an app is the pressure to like get intimate is quite strong.
Yeah.
It's like we're only here for one thing really.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I friend dated the guy that I'm now with for
really?
2 months.
Oh.
So we would just go for walks, there was no pressure. And it
That's
just gave us
good.
chance to get to know each other and make sure we definitely really liked each other. And yeah.
There is less pressure that way, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Oh.
But we're not here to talk about me. So you got to the end of your three to 4 years, and then you basically had a ceremony for yourself to say, right, I'm ready for this person. I'm open and I'm willing.
Yeah.
Which I think's really cool because I did something similar on the beach with a fire and petals.
Oh, I mean, that's better what I did.
Well,
I just sat in my bedroom.
That's okay. This was not a competition. But for me, I was like, right, this is the end of me dipping every day. So I'm going to say thank you to the sea and have this little ceremony and also be open now for the dating ban to be over to see what would happen. But I do feel like it doesn't matter whether you believe or not, it's like an energetic shift.
Yeah.
From, okay, we've been doing this thing, it's not working. This is what I'm looking for. And then now I'm open to it.
Yeah. And like for me, I kind of switched my mindset. So normally I would be like thinking before a date, like, oh, are they going to find us attractive? Are they going to find us funny? Am I good enough for them? But I switched that in my head and thought, actually, are they good enough for me? Am I going to find them funny? And am I going to find them attractive?
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like, not like an audition for me, but it was like, are they good enough?
Yeah.
And
Is
it
this
kind
the
of,
person that I'm looking for?
yeah, and it made me more confident walking in there because I wasn't questioning if I was good enough. Do you know what I mean?
That's definitely my approach to dating, and I've tried to like change that a bit and approach it the way that you've just described, and it's extremely difficult to do that. Because of your own insecurities, you know, that's obviously what's going to be at the forefront of your mind, I think. But I definitely, I think you're probably not going to meet the person that you want to meet until you do change your mind about like that.
Which is why I needed a break.
Yeah.
Because I was totally in that place of like, I need to find someone, am I good enough, blah, blah, blah. Like I needed that break to be like just dating myself.
Yeah.
And working out who I am, like you say, finding your identity and what I really want from somebody, so that how are you going to know when you find them if you haven't taken that time? But of course, and then you do find the right person, and then there's like loads of opportunities to fuck it up, shall we say?
Yeah.
Because we're like repeating old patterns, going back, because I guess it's like, well, this is how I was in a relationship, so your brain goes back to this. I know this, how to behave when I'm in a relationship. I do this. Yeah. And then when you're with the right person, they're not pushing necessarily those buttons anymore. Yeah. So, yeah, I can start to self-sabotage when that happens.
Well, David said straight away, like, you were quite like, not pushing him away, but like, well, you're going to be bored of us now. You know, you're going to cheat on us now. You're going to not find me attractive anymore because that's what I've been used to in the past. Yeah. So I was really struggling with like, actually, this is going quite well. I'm not used to it. Like, so I'm expecting something to go wrong. Like, I was looking for problems that weren't there. Yeah. So, yeah, I know what you mean.
So what did you do about it?
I just concentrated on what was actually happening and what this person was doing for me rather than what I thought they were going to do. And I tried to concentrate on actually, if it does happen, I've survived it before. And I can survive it again if it happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. One of the things that came up for me was when I started having my needs met. And I was like, I'm not used. This feels really uncomfortable. Yeah. Like if I was upset and then he would comfort me, I'm like, I don't know how to receive this.
Yeah. I'm not used to it.
Yeah. Like I'm used to like masking how I feel in order to meet your needs. Yeah. Not the other way around. And then starting to feel deeply uncomfortable about it. I'm freaking out about that. Yeah. Which is very weird. So it's like giving yourself permission to receive what it is you actually want out of a relationship. And obviously in relationships you can be addicted to things like drama. Yeah. And having to put out fires. And so again there'll be a thought process in the brain which is like, I'm missing that. I'm craving a bit of something to solve. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very weird. Yeah. You spend so much time trying to find this person and then you're like, oh, but now I need to relearn how to be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. Like, we've bickered like anyone does, but there's no blazing arguments, there's no storming out, and I'm like, it's surprisingly calm. Yeah. And like, with me, because my anxiety can be quite up and down, and you know, but David's just quite like this, and I'm like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's quite mellow and stays the same, quite level, and I'm quite up and down. So for me, it goes quite well.
Yeah, like he's helping you ground.
Yeah.
And he's anchoring you
Yeah.
when you're feeling a bit wild.
Yeah, which I never realised I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the past, I'd be going on dates, drinking alcohol, clouded judgment, the rest is history, and then you wonder why they don't speak to you the next day. Do you know what I mean? And I'm now quite confident with the fact I don't enjoy drinking as much anymore. And if people ever say anything about it, I know it's good for me.
Yeah.
So,
your business.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think as women, we can be quite uncomfortable. It can be quite an uncomfortable feeling when somebody goes, actually, what do you need? You know? Because we're not used to it. So, like, that discomfort, it should be like a nice feeling of, oh,
Yeah.
great, okay, I get to express my needs and say what I want. But instead, because we're not used to it, it's like, oh, this is weird. I don't know what to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
I can give you an exact example of this. So there was a Friday morning, we were meant to be getting up early and going to meet some people to go swimming in the sea. And I was like, I just had a meltdown. I was like, I'm completely overwhelmed at the moment. There's too much going on. I'm exhausted and I need to rest. But I also felt like I was putting him out because he wanted to go and dip. And he was trying to comfort me and being like, no, I'll stay with you. But then there was this thing in me which was like, I can't make a fuss. I need to do this anyway. I need to go and do this thing. But I also want him to stay with me. And it was all like mixed up in this thing of like, just kind of imploded on myself. And I couldn't either go or stay or accept his support in the situation. And he's like, no, I'm going to stay with you. And I'm like, oh God, please go. But if you go, I'll feel like you don't love me.
So that you can't win.
No.
Can't you not?
So I just had to sort of breathe through it and be like, try and process what the trigger was so I didn't repeat it. And I've never had an issue since, but in that very moment I was like, fuck, this is like all of the things all happening at once. And poor brain.
I know.
It was in the run up to Christmas, so it's hardly a surprise.
It's very overwhelming, especially with New Year. Everyone wants to change themselves, and this year I didn't actually want to change myself, which is quite a big thing for me. Normally it's like, well, I want to drop 5 stone and I want to be this person and change this. And this year I was actually like, there's nothing I want to change. I just want new experiences.
Yeah.
You know?
Want to come on a podcast?
Yeah.
Do a vision board?
Smashed it in January. I can stop now.
The rest of the
Completed
year
it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said, so Sophie and Katie came to a vision boarding workshop that me and Lou ran back at the beginning of January. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I was really nervous, right, because yoga's not my strong point. I went to a class before and I pretty much collapsed and
It sounded
fainted.
like a hard one.
It was a hard one. It was very like fast movement, which I didn't expect, and so I was quite nervous that yours would be like that, and it wasn't. It was very slow, and
It was the opposite.
I loved it. It was just like sleeping in a room of strangers. It was great. I loved it. Like,
It was, for the record, everyone, it was restorative yoga.
Yeah.
So you basically have about 5 poses that you do over the course of an hour. So you're in each pose for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And trying to go deep and just like, say for example, you might be opening your chest and trying to like breathe into heart space and just seeing what emotions come up. So, but my normal yoga class is a bit faster, but not flow like what you did before.
Works your body though.
It
I've
does
been
work.
there.
Yeah.
You have to hold your pose.
That's quite hard.
Yeah. It's lovely though. You should come down as regular class as well.
I'll try.
Friday nights, guys. So you liked the yoga, and then we went on to do vision boarding.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff came up for you to go on your vision board?
Well, I put smack bang in the middle. I want a mortgage. I want to move out and get my own.
Where are you currently living?
With my family.
Okay.
So I do know where my bread's buttered. I've been a bit, I've outstayed my welcome a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And I'm getting to a point where I need to grow up a bit, really. So that was smack bang in the middle. And then I'm trying to think. I had mainly just to keep up with the gym, keep up with things I like to do.
Yeah.
So like dip club, swimming. But it was just mainly experiences. So I had a camper van on there. So I've always loved, like, do you know, like the Volkswagen camper vans with all the flowers on and colours?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to either own one, which I doubt will happen, or at least rent one. So
That's
go away.
doable.
Yeah, that's doable. Like,
You
yeah.
could do that this summer.
And then, funnily enough, our friend said that she knew someone with one. So I was like, right, okay, we'll do that. And then I can't remember what else was on it now. Let's have a think. Oh, so I run a little Instagram of like positive quotes.
Yes. What's it called again?
Daily Glimmer.
So it's at Daily Glimmer.
At Daily Glimmer.
You do write some really lovely stuff on there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I
We'll
guess
share
it's
it
my way
for-
of like getting out how I feel as well. But I wanted 1,000 followers on there, and I'm already halfway.
Great.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So it's building up stuff like that, and you're getting ready to put in an offer on a house, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, we've been doing lots of viewings. It's exhausting viewing houses, mind.
Full-time job.
Like, trying to visualise yourself in a house and what you would do with the living room and, like, oh, well, this one has a bigger garden. Like, I've done a pros and cons list of my favourites, but even then we're still viewing more because one of them's went already.
Yeah.
And, like,
They
it's
do
just
get
so
snapped up.
hard, isn't it? And
You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know
Well,
when you
that's
find
what I
it.
mean. Like, we nearly put an offer in at the start of the week, actually. And when I emailed to say I'd quite like to put an offer in, we got a one back straight away to say, oh, they've accepted another offer. But in my mind, I was quite stressed about putting this offer in. So I was thinking, is that my body telling me this isn't right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of, because my experience of this is I've bought a house last year. When I got the keys, I cried. Had a panic attack.
Right.
My ex-husband had to come and pick the kids up because I was like freaking out.
Right.
There's loads of work to do on it. And now we're nearly at the point where the work's going to happen and I can move in. And I'm excited.
Oh, okay.
So I've went from like freaking out, didn't want this house, didn't want anything to do with it, to now that I'm nearly moving in, I'm really excited about it and I can
Okay.
really see how beautiful it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I think, and there's so much wrong with this house. You can still see the sky through the roof.
Oh.
And yeah, there's
I
like,
mean-
it needs a new boiler. There's so much wrong with it,
A
but
boiler's fine, but a roof.
it's quite integral.
Yeah.
But my point is that like, once it's yours,
Yeah.
you can make it what you want. And I
Yeah.
think once you've moved in, you'll be like, oh, this is our home. And we can do what we want with it and we can make it beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can get excited about it. So partly I'm like, don't overthink it either.
That's a good point because I really have been.
You've been writing pros and cons.
I've been writing a notebook of notes.
Yeah.
It's
like,
crazy.
I mean, it is a massive investment and I get
Yeah.
everything. But I think if it's a place for you and Dave to make a home together, it could be a shoebox. And you'd
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
true. And we'd still have a great time.
So just as long as it's within budget, just go for it.
Yeah.
In the right areas,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well, I've actually compromised for probably the first time in a long time because I was quite adamant of staying in my hometown. But he's actually said, like, well, what about here? And you've got this and you've got this. And, like, one place is quite close to the coast. So I was like, well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Because I was quite dead set on being in one place. But, like, this weekend we're actually viewing places elsewhere, which I never would have done before.
Oh, maybe it's for a reason then.
Maybe.
Get you closer to the sea.
Yeah. Where I need to be.
Well, that's what I mean as well. I
Yeah.
think when you've got to have a little bit of faith in the process with these things.
Yeah,
you know?
things fall through when they're not right.
Yeah.
But equally,
Yeah.
don't worry too much.
Yeah.
Cool. So going back to being single, for our friends who are listening, who are currently single and don't necessarily want to be, do you have any tips for how to do it and enjoy it? If that makes sense.
Well, I would really recommend doing the non-negotiables
Oh, yeah.
because it really cuts out people you don't want to waste your time on. And I think just knowing deep down that you are comfortable on your own. I know that's easier said than done, but I feel like people put far too much pressure on themselves. I used to put pressure on myself to be like other friends and have a house and a mortgage and a dog and 4 kids. Like,
oh my God.
It's the happily ever after.
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
happily ever after.
We're addicted to that story as well. So
Yeah.
if you're single or on your own and feeling a bit uncomfortable or a bit upset about something, you revert back to old stories
Yeah.
that we're kind of addicted to. So if you're not drinking, you might replace it with eating too much food or obsessing over finding a partner rather than coming back to yourself.
Yeah. And I think, you generally have to be comfortable with being on your own first, because when you're so reliant on getting happiness from somebody else, I think it puts a lot of pressure on you that you don't need, and you then like attach to somebody and just do what they want to do, and you forget yourself in the process.
And they can't actually make you happy. They can enhance your life and make you feel good about yourself as long as it's the right person, but they can't get in your head and make you feel happy with yourself. Did you do anything specific to find your identity or work on your self-esteem?
Well, for me, with self-esteem, I got into the habit of following accounts on Instagram that were similar to me. So I used to be in a habit of following, I don't know, people in smaller bodies, which I would never look like, and I would put pressure on myself to go to the gym and look like that person. But now I follow sort of more curvier, bigger bodies, and people who still go to the gym, but they are curvier and bigger, and so I think looking at what you're processing first, and mindless scrolling. I actually cut down my screen time for quite a while, because I was just scrolling at things and I guess like fantasizing about a body I'll never have. And going into the sea has helped. Like wearing a swimsuit every week has kind of helped as well. Like the first time I went, I wasn't really practical. I had this tiniest bikini on. I didn't know what I expected to happen. But like, you kind of look around and think like, there's more bodies like mine here.
Yeah.
And no one cares what you look like.
Yeah.
No one's went home and thought, oh, that bikini wasn't great for her, or I wonder what size jeans she had last year. Like, nobody thought that. So I guess it kind of helps you think, like, no one cares about you, like, what you look like. Like, there's more to you than your body.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So right.
And it's a very liberating feeling as well, actually, isn't it? Putting your swimming costume on and walking onto a beach full of people with their clothes on. It's like, this is my body and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm here in my swimming costume.
Exactly. And there's more to you. Like, you'll strike conversations with people about everything, but no one cares what you look like and who you are. They're bothered about who you've come as today and what your purpose is for being in the sea, and
What's your crack?
Yeah.
Not that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Although some people do get them out, so
I mean, and that's great for them.
Each to their own.
Yeah, each to their own. I will do one one day, just not today. Yeah.
Nice. Finally, how do we keep our identity when we're in a relationship?
The question. Well, I struggled to begin with, because when you're kind of in the honeymoon phase, it's very much going out for dates, just spending time with them. But I think for me, it's setting a boundary of when you're going to see your friends, when you're going to see your family, what are your hobbies. So for me, it was the gym and going swimming, and spending a lot of time with my friends means a lot to me. So actually, on a Sunday, I might only see you in the afternoon, and you're going to have to be okay with that, because that's part of my life that I need. It's a coping mechanism. So I guess it's just setting a boundary of knowing what you need day to day. And I mean, he has integrated with a lot of things I do.
Yes.
So he comes swimming now, and he knows my family, so it does integrate nicely. But then it's also having that time on your own.
Yeah.
Apart as well. Yeah.
There's a good graph for it, like the Venn diagrams, like this.
That's
We've
how
got
I'm doing a Venn diagram, everybody. Who's not watching the
it's
video.
2 circles. So there's like 3 different types of relationship. There's the one where you don't do anything together, so you're like this. Then there's the one where you're completely codependent, and the 2 circles completely overlap. And then there's the one where you're interdependent. So you do some things together, but you also have plenty of time independently doing your own things. And apparently that's the healthiest relationship.
Yeah.
So you've just described that, and I've forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making sure, because especially if your default is I must solve all their problems and do everything for them, to not go back to that and keep making sure that you've got your own interests, you've got everything carved out for yourself as well as making time for them.
That's interesting because my default has always been 2 separate lives.
Oh,
like
okay.
completely
2 circles
independent.
apart, yeah.
Like never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, to an extent, but that's always been the guy's choice, like not mine. And maybe that's something I
Is
need
that
to
not
look
a bit of
for
a
in
red
relationship.
flag? I
But
don't want to
yeah.
spend time with you.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Should look at that.
I would
shouldn't
maybe
Yeah.
evaluate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just always seem to go out with guys who like are happy for me to go and do my own thing, and I've never expressed a need to have them there in certain parts of my life. So maybe that's something I need to work on.
I mean, I think that's okay. I think that's fine. But to an extent, you need to come together,
Yeah,
at
Do
some point.
stuff together.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about like relationships where we never did anything or saw each other. That would be weird. But like if I was going out with my friends, naturally,
Yeah.
my
partner
boyfriend
wouldn't
wouldn't come.
come.
Yeah.
See, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I think
I
it is
think that is
fine.
healthy.
Yeah, but then when I did want them to come, they still wouldn't come. So
Oh,
I think that's the difference, isn't
right.
it?
Okay.
Yeah, like you want to have some interests together.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for that bombshell right at the end.
Yeah,
Gotta go
sorry,
now.
everybody.
No, it wasn't a bombshell. It's just one of those things. My natural thing is to become too codependent, and yours is very
Completely different, yeah.
Can't remember what the name is of the 2 external ones. But yes, nurture your time together and apart
Yeah.
will be your takeaway.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Sophie.
having me.
Where can we find you on the gram?
My username is, it's Sophie without the I. So Soph,
Yeah.
Sophe,
E.
and then Izzy, IZZY.
Lovely. So
We'll
it's,
put a link in the show notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we've also got Daily Glimmer as well.
Daily Glimmer, yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on.
Thank
back,
you.
And good luck with the house move and
Thanks.
purchase.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to the housewarming.
Updates. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a one.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, then. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Happily Ever After with me, Hannah Harvey. It would be wonderful if you could leave a review and subscribe. And of course, if you have a friend who might enjoy this episode, please do pass it on. For anything else, you can get in touch with me either through Instagram @mumsdays or my website mumsdays.com.